Panibagong araw at panibagong buhay, Canada na naman mga kamamaw. So napakaganda ng topic natin for today mga kamamaw. And bago natin simulan, shoutout ko muna si The Parallel Truth. Actually, siya yung reason bakit ako makakapag-vlog ngayon. So meron siya sa, follow niyo siya sa Facebook. Meron siya gumagawa siya ng mga documentary when it comes sa buhay ng mga nangyayari dito sa Canada from the past 20 to 10 years, parang gano'n na ano. Actually, yun yung pumukaw sa aking attention. Kaya ito mga kamama, magagawa tayo ng reaction video about doon sa nagustuhan kong ginawa ng video. Sobrang talagang ano ko, kumbaga alam nyo naman, pag istorya ng buhay Canada is talagang nakatutok lagi ako mga kamama upang ma-share ko sa inyo kung ano may mga nangyayari, ano ba yung mga dahilan ng mga bagay-bagay na nangyayari dito sa Canada. May mga istorya din dito na maririnig natin maririnig nyo, mapapanood nyo na bakit ba umaalis yung mga tao dito sa Canada? Bakit ba after nilang ma-PR or something na hindi na nila hinihintay silang ma-PR, makakuha ng citizenship dito after nilang mag-aral or something, may mga kanya-kanya silang plano. Bakit ba umaalis sila sa Canada? Bakit ayaw nilang mag-stay dito? So yun, lahat yan mapapanood nyo sa video mga kamamo. Kaya ito, simulan na natin. Let's go! Yan mga kamamo, simulan na natin. Pe-play ko na yung video
Country in the second largest country in the world is collapsing right now.
Because something crazy has been happening in the last couple of years. Seems a lot of people are moving out of the country.
I don't see my future in Canada.
Thousands of people are leaving Canada.
I don't understand anymore because I'm not enjoying it here. How the hell is anyone existing in Canada? Like, I feel trapped.
Inflation, the high cost of living, has broken the record of the past 40 years. And on top of this, in just the month of July, around 7,000 people became unemployed. Drugs are being sold openly in the streets of Canada. Violence and the crime rates are the highest they have ever been in the past 30 years. And in the past 2 years, it has increased aggressively. Renting or buying a house in Canada has become almost impossible for 70% of the population. In the past 10 years, homelessness in Canada has almost doubled in percentage. The second best country in the world, the one for which people of third world countries stand in lines to get immigration, is reaching a tipping point. But how did Canada get here? The answer lies in 4 main reasons, which we'll explore one by one in this video, so make sure to watch until the end. This is Canada, a country located just above the United States. It is the second largest country in the world by total area. To the west of Canada is the Pacific Ocean, to the east is the Atlantic Ocean, and to the north lies the Arctic Ocean. Canada shares the world's longest international border with the United States, and interestingly, about 80% of Canada's population lives within just 100 miles of this border. In fact, nearly half of all Canadians live below this line. Canada's province Ontario plays a major role in the country's economy. It alone contributes around 40% of Canada's total GDP. One major reason for this population distribution is the extremely cold climate in Canada. Winters are especially harsh in the northern regions, where the land is either covered in snow or dotted with a vast number of lakes.
Ayan, in-stop ko muna mga kamamo. So yan ang sasabi nila, syempre sa Canada ka, diba? Ang ganda ng buhay mo, ang ganda ng pagkakataon mo, ang ganda ng opportunity mo mga kamamo. Usual, yung iba umaano sila talagang, kumbaga umaayaw sila dahil sa klima, lalo na yung mga tao dito na sobrang tagal na at the same time tumatanda na. So yun na nagiging reason bakit yung iba naisipan na lang balik na lang sa kanilang bansa, dahil yun ang pinakamahirap talaga makamo. Ito yung kumbaga pagsubok na pagdadaanan mo pag dumating ka dito sa Canada, yung weather.
And rivers. In fact, Canada is home to 50% of all the freshwater lakes in the entire world. Additionally, Canada is incredibly rich in natural resources, which further shapes its economic and geographic significance. Canada has the 4th largest oil reserves in the world. Apart from this, Canada also has very large reserves of potash, uranium, coal, geothermal energy, and natural gas. Because of the countless lakes and water reserves, 60% of Canada's energy comes from hydrothermal plants, and this is why Canada is the second largest country in the world that produces electricity from water. Canada's main industries are real estate, mining, and manufacturing, and all of these are in these provinces, which is why the majority of the population lives here. Despite having such amazing conditions, in the past few years, Canada's graph has been going down very rapidly. In 2021, only 45% of immigrants became Canadian nationals. These were the people who had come to Canada 10 years earlier in 2011. If we compare this ratio to 20 years ago, then in 2001, 75% of immigrants had become Canadian nationals. This means that many people who are coming to Canada now do not want to stay in Canada in the long run. According to a recent survey, 20% of immigrants who came after 2018 are thinking about leaving Canada. This situation is quite alarming. When immigrants begin leaving a country, or when they no longer show interest in becoming citizens, it is usually a very serious warning sign. The biggest and most immediate reason behind this crisis is the rising cost of living. Take housing, for example. This coloured circle in the image shows the dramatic increase in housing prices across Canada over the past 10 years. Since 2008, property prices have almost doubled. According to a well-known Canadian vlogger, in Waterloo, a major city in Canada, the rent for a one-bedroom, one-bathroom apartment used to be around 900 Canadian dollars per month in 2017. By 2023, that same apartment cost $2,000 in monthly rent. That's a staggering 120% increase in just 6 years. Similarly, if someone wants to buy a home, the monthly mortgage payment that used to be $1,400 in 2015 has now risen to about $3,500 per month. In Canada's large cities, where most of the population live, renting a small one-bedroom apartment now costs around $2,000 per month. If someone wants to buy that same unit, they may end up paying $3,500 every month in mortgage payments. Now compare this with the average monthly salary in Canada, which ranges between $4,000 and $6,000. After deducting income tax, groceries, utility bills, transportation, and other essential expenses, it becomes almost impossible for the average person to afford these high rents or mortgage payments. Even this $6,000 monthly salary is not very common. It mostly applies to people working in slightly upper-level white-collar jobs. In reality, the average annual salary in Canada is around $60,000, which means most people earn about $5,000 a month. That's why in a recent survey, it was found that 63% of Canadians do not own a house. In fact, many have completely given up hope of ever being able to buy one. Let's break down why. Suppose your annual salary is $60,000. After taxes, that leaves you with about $50,000 a year. If you live in a major city like Toronto, Vancouver, or Waterloo, then your rent for a one-bedroom apartment alone could be around $20,000 to $25,000 per year. Now add to that about $5,000 annually for groceries, and that's on the low end. On top of that, you have to pay for car insurance, medical insurance, occasional shopping, and most importantly, warm clothing, because Canada has extremely cold winters. After covering all these basic expenses, there is barely any money left to save toward buying a house. Even if someone tries to save consistently, it would still take at least 10 to 15 years to afford an average home in a big city. This growing housing crisis is the first major reason why living in Canada is becoming harder.
So ayun, kakat ko muna mga kamamo. So yun lang sasabi nila about dun sa mga Vancouver, Toronto, Waterloo, yung mga malalaking city, which is napakahirap talaga makasurvive mga kamamo, honestly. Kasi kung i-compare mo yung sinusweldo ko ngayon mga kamamo, when it comes dun sa mga binabanggit nilang expenses or sa mga bayarin, lalo na sa mga rentang bahay, isipin mga kamamo, bed spacer is nasa 1,500 data yung sinabi kanina, or 1,600, parang gano'n na. Isipin mo, or nasa 2,000 pa ata yung nakita ko kanina eh. Isipin mo kung 2,000 yun, napakahirap mga kamamaw. Halos parang bitin pa yung susweldohin ko, pambayad lang ng upa. So it means, paano ka makakasurvive sa big city kung ang trabaho mo lang ay mga nasa ano ka lang, mid range ka lang ng pasweldo dito sa Canada. So automatic yung mga tao nakakasurvive yan mga kamamo, yung sigurado nasa mga high level ng trabaho, like mga doktor, engineer, yun yung mga talaga makakasurvive. Pero kung mga simpleng ka lang, trabahador ka lang, eh sigurado malamang pati pagkain mo mahihirapan ka, which is yun yung magandang bagay, or yun yung magandang parang kagandahan ng nasa small city ka, na hindi mo naman kailangang makipagsabayan sa big city. Kung sa tingin mo ay hindi mo naman kaya, make sure anuin mo rin, i-balance mo rin yung sarili mo, na kung talagang hindi naman para sa iyo yung lugar na yun, wag mong ipipilit. Kaya ako mga kamamo, mas napili kong nandito ako sa Saskatoon. Although sabihin natin mga kamamo, honestly, tumataas talaga yung cost of living ngayon when you compare from 10 years, from the last 10 years na dumating ako dito. Sobrang mababa yung upa, even yung gasolina mababa, yung renting ng bahay mababa, pati yung mga groceries mababa. So makikita mo talaga na talagang nag-expand or talagang tumaas ang lahat ng bagay. Kaya hindi rin biro-biro din mga kamamo, kaya dapat marunong ka rin humawak ng pera, mag-budget ka para makasurvive ka.
especially for those who moved there after 2019. The second major issue is Canada's slow and fragile job market. Canada's economy depends heavily on natural resources. That's why most of the country's investments are focused on mining, manufacturing and real estate. About 17% of Canada's GDP comes from natural resources, and more than 50% of its merchandise exports are from this sector. This has created a dangerous housing bubble. Because property prices are rising so fast, investors prefer to put their money into real estate instead of industries or startups. But when there's no investment in new industries, no new jobs are created. Now let's look at Canada's two major export sectors, oil and automobile manufacturing, both of which are in decline. Most of Canada's oil comes from the province of Alberta. Around 70% of it is exported to the United States. But because it is more expensive for the US to import Canadian oil, the US has started producing its own cheaper oil. As a result, demand for Canadian oil is going down, which is hurting companies in the oil sector. To cut costs, they are now laying off workers. The same kind of decline is happening in Canada's automobile industry. Since the 2008 global recession, car production has dropped significantly. Back in 1999, Canada was producing about 3 million vehicles per year, but by 2020, that number had fallen to just 1.4 million. The biggest reason for this drop is that many companies are moving their operations to Mexico, where labor costs are much cheaper than in Canada. The group that's suffering the most in Canada right now is students, especially those coming from South Asian countries. Many of them arrive with big hopes. They believe that by enrolling in a college or university, doing part-time work on the side, and eventually securing permanent residency, they'll build a better life. But things on the ground have changed a lot recently. Earlier, part-time jobs were easier to find. Many students worked in warehouses or did cleaning and labor work, but now those types of jobs are almost completely full. In the last few years, such a large number of students and workers have migrated from South Asia that there are barely any openings left in these roles. Even in professional sectors like IT, engineering and finance, the competition has become extremely tough. One reason is that during COVID-19, Canada's economy took a serious hit. Many businesses shut down. And just as the country was trying to recover, the Russia-Ukraine war triggered a global economic slowdown. At the same time, millions of students and immigrants arrived in Canada, especially from Asia, hoping to start fresh careers. Now, the reality is that the number of people has grown too fast, but the number of jobs hasn't kept up. This has created an imbalance, an oversupply of workers and a shortage of work. So if someone is planning to move to Canada today, they should have a highly specialized skill, something rare and truly valuable, because otherwise it's becoming harder and harder to stand out. In fact, between 2021 and 2022, Canada received more newcomers in a single year than it had in any year over the past 2 decades. The population grew rapidly, but job opportunities did not. Another reason why people are rethinking life in Canada is the rise in violence. Since 2020, many cases of armed robbery and even murder have been reported across the country. According to several Canadian news sources, this level of violent crime is something the country hasn't experienced before. The most disturbing trend among these crimes is something called unprovoked random attacks. After COVID, incidents where innocent people are attacked for no reason has become common. Imagine walking down the street and suddenly being punched, stabbed or pushed by a stranger with no warning. In 2021 alone, Vancouver reported around 1,700 such attacks. Experts say that mental health problems are playing a big role in this trend. The stress of unemployment, high inflation and strict taxation laws have pushed many people into mental health crises. Unfortunately, most of the victims in these attacks have been Asians, which raises questions about whether racism might also be involved. But one thing is clear, if you talk to people who have lived in Canada.
Yan, pinost ko muna mga kamamoy na narinig nyo na parang about dun sa mga big city may mga crime na malalaman ka na parang katulad naglalakad ka lang, biglang may sasapak sa'yo, biglang may sasaksak sa'yo, parang Pilipinas lang, di ba mga kamamo? Ang masasabi ko naman dito kahit paano dito sa Saskatoon, 11 years na ako dito. Although sabihin natin, di natin masasabing perfect tong Saskatoon when it comes sa crime Pero para sa akin, sa nakasanayan ko sa Pilipinas at maiyaano mo siya, yung maiyain tulad mo yung experience mo from Philippines ka nakatira sa dito ka sa Canada, para sa akin mas tahimik. Iba yung peace of mind mo. Although sabihin natin, di naman talaga perfecto na talagang may mga pagkakataon na baka ramdam ka kung naglalakad ka sa labas ng kaba, Lalo na katulad dun sa pwesto namin sa lugar namin. Nandun lahat halos parang tatawag nilang hood yun eh. Kumbaga, pero hindi mo siya mararamdaman na katulad ng pakaramdam na pag naglalakad ka sa Pilipinas dito, kahit mag-cellphone ka. Para sa akin na, based dito sa aking experience. Dito sa Saskatoon, wala naman ako na experience na parang may gumalaw sa akin. Kaya, kumbaga ba, kahit pa paano, mas okay pa rin ako kung nandito ako sa Canada. Kasi, nakikita mo naman yung mga sinasabi na maraming umaalis, maraming, parang feeling nila wala silang future na makukuha dito sa Canada. Ako naman kasi gusto ko lang iyan na kahit paano yung Canada kasi yun yung nagbigay sa akin ng oportunidad, nagbigay sa akin ng second chance para kahit paano gumanda yung buhay natin. Although medyo dumarating tayo sa point na nag-struggle tayo, part ng buhay yan, hindi mawawala yan. Doon natin malalaman yung maging tatag natin or yung sa pagsubok, yung malagpasan natin mga pagsubok. So, para sa akin, hopefully dito naman sa Saskatoon okay ako at happy na ako dito sa pwesto ko. So tuloy natin ito mga kamamaw.
For a long time, they will tell you that crime and violence have noticeably increased in recent years. Another major concern today is the healthcare system. Canadians once took great pride in their public health services, but ever since COVID, the system has become overwhelmed and inefficient. Many Canadian vloggers have highlighted this issue. They say that before 2019, it was possible to walk into a clinic and see a doctor on the same day. Now it's normal to wait for several weeks or even months. Currently, the average wait time for a doctor's appointment in Canada is between 20 to 27 weeks. That means if someone falls sick, they may have to wait almost 4 to 5 months for their turn in the national health system. Yes, in case of a serious emergency like a heart attack or accident, hospitals treat patients immediately. But for everything else, including cancer screenings, patients are told to wait. As a result, many diseases that could have been detected early are being diagnosed late, which is a major health risk. All of this adds up to a hard truth. Canada is not the same country people used to dream about. Things have changed, and unfortunately for the worse. What do you all know about Canada's situation, and how much do you agree with what has been said in this video? Be sure to share in the comments below. These are all the sources that we consulted for this video. See you in the next video with another interesting topic. Take care of yourself.
Yan mga kamamaw, tapos na yung video. So doon naman tayo sa sa hospital na hospitalization pag yung bigla kang nagkasakit. Although totoo naman yun talaga mga kamamaw na talagang mahaba ang pila, lalo pag kung hindi naman talaga immediately yung mo at hindi siya on emergency purposes, hindi ka naman talaga nila uunahin, which is kahit ikaw naman din isipin mo sa sarili mo na na hindi ka naman pang emergency tapos uunahin ka, tapos ito yung isa parang sabi natin nasaksak o talagang almost parang mamamatay na, talagang yun talaga priority mo. Dahil isipin mo na lang din kung ikaw yung nasa posisyon nung taong pasyente na yun, syempre gugustuhin mo mas mauna sila. So syempre minsan darating ka sa point na talaga parang maiirita ka rin talaga. Maiirita ka rin dahil sobrang tagal. Tulad yan pag yung kumukuha tayo ng gamot lang time na parang hinika din ako dati, na experience ko rin yun. Kumbaga syempre ang sabi nga kung hindi mo naman nila makikita naman nila sa iyo na parang mas okay ka lang, talagang dead mind ka. May experience akong ganyan sa ospital dito na parang hindi ka pinapansin kasi akala nila okay ka lang. So dumating ako sa point na lumapit na ako sa nurse. Sabi ko, nurse, ilan pa ba ako? Kasi napansin ko mula ng pamilya ko nasa 3 hours na ako doon. Halos parang lahat ng mga nandoon na nauna sa akin at saka mas nauna pa ako parang nauuna. So parang daw pinapansin kasi parang feeling ko dahil ba Pilipino ako or something nung time na yun. Ganun yung naramdaman ko Kaya ginawa ko na lang, lumapit na lang din ako para syempre kahit pa paano maiwasan natin yung hindi mawawala yung tao ka lang kakamali ka, parang minsan nag-iinit ulo mo. Lumapit na lang ako para at least wala na maging bad conversation when it comes dun sa nangyari nung araw na yun. Sabi ko, pang ilan pa ba ako? Kasi napansin ko, magti 3 hours na ako dito. Hindi pa ako naasikaso. Di ba sabi ko sa inyo, nahirapan akong huminga. Sabi ko ganun. Sabi ko, hindi ba pwedeng mas madelay na kasi parang hinihika na kasi ako nung time na yun naman, nung sinabi ko naman yung reason na kailangan ko na ng immediate assistant o yung tulungan agad ako ng right away, tinulungan naman ako, which is okay naman. Kumbaga ba, mas okay na rin yung ganoon dahil Hindi mo rin minsan masisi para sa akin na kasi ako mga kamamaw, low ano lang ako eh. Mababang uri ng ano lang ako eh. Mamamayan eh kasi lumaki tayo sa hirap. Hindi ako masyadong yung parang masyadong mataas. Yung parang mapagmataas ka na syempre sabi ko lang din libre naman yan. Wala ka namang binabayaran. Magkakaiba tayo ng opinion na opinion ko to sa mga manonood. Eh wala mang bayad, libre naman yung lahat. So ginawa ko na lang para at least for the sake of argument, sinabi ko na lang reason ko. So ayun, inasikaso na lang nila ako within 5 minutes, binigyan na akong gamot, inano na ako, inassist na ako ng maayos. Eh ang sa akin naman kumbaga sa lahat ng pagkakataon nagpunta ka naman talaga sa ospital, makaka-experience ka ng bad and good experience. May mga good experience naman tayong nakuha nung nakaraan namang si Jacob ay nagkasakit kasi baby si Jacob talagang inuna siya kahit maraming pila doon na mas kailangan siya. Tsaka at the same time nung si Bless din nung na-aksidente siya dati sa trabaho niya nung nabiyak yung dito sa noo niya kasi na ano siya ng isang Canadian na lasing nung bumibili ng kape nung yung in-stitch yung ulo ng anak ko in-assist naman, which is sabi nga nila kung emergency purposes unahin. So may mga good and bad experience tayo pero syempre tao lang naman tayo mga kamamaw tao lang tayo, nagkakamali rin tayo, hindi naman tayo perfecto. So yung mga na-experience natin when it comes sa hospitalization dito, pero para sa akin mas okay pa rin dahil kahit paano libre nga siya. So isipin mo kung nasa Pilipinas ako pero hindi ko inaano yung about doon sa Pilipinas kasi proud to be Pinoy ako. Ayoko nung dumating sa point na parang kino-compare ko yung Canada. Hindi naman sa kino-compare. Ibig sabihin ba, yung akin lang kaya ako sinasabi to is pasasalamat ko kasi nandito ako sa Canada na-experience ko yung mga ganitong klaseng benefits or yung mga pagkakataon na imbis na bayaran mo yung mga medication mo is libre talaga. So para sa mga nanonood, para mas mamulat ang isip nyo na merong madali at mahirap dito sa Canada. Number 1, mahirap yung weather. And then yung cost of living, tumataas na rin talaga. Kung hindi ka marunong talagang budget sa sarili mo, ay hindi ka talaga makakasurvive. Siyempre, paghandaan mo rin yung sarili mo na pag dumating ka dito, is hindi ganun kadali. So lahat ng bagay is pinagtatrabahuhan, pinagsisikapan para kung gusto mo talagang makabangon or kahit papaano maging maayos ng buhay mo. Pero wag kang mag-i-expect na yayaman ka pag dumating ka dito sa Canada. Wala akong naririnig dito na sinasabing, ay, mayaman na siya dahil nasa Canada. Hindi. Walang mayaman dito dahil kung mayaman ng mga taga-Canada, hindi na magtatrabaho yung mga yan, mga kamamaw. So, talagang ano lang. Kung baga nandun ka sa point na kung nandito ka sa Canada, is masasabi mo makakakain ka ng 3 times a day kahit pa paano. Yung gustong pagkain na gusto mong kainin ay makakain mo. So yun ang anin mo kung dumating ka sa point na nandun ka sa Pilipinas na hindi mo na-experience yung mga bagay na ganito. Dito sa Canada kahit pa paano may experience mo. Pero at the same time, diskartehan mo lang talaga mga kamam. Pagdating mo dito sa Canada, diskartehan mo yung buhay mo. Mag-ipon ka, huwag mong kakalimutan yung number 1 sa listahan yan. Mag-ipon ka, magtabi ka, huwag kang masyadong padala ng padala. Kung sabayin natin may mga responsibilidad ka sa Pilipinas, ipabalance mo rin. Huwag kang darating sa point na ibibigay mo lahat, tapos bandang huli pag ikaw ang may kailangan, wala kang madukot. Hindi naman takbuhan dito. Actually, huwag nyo sanayin ng takbuhan ng credit card. Ayan. Number 1 yan, huwag nyo gagawing takbuhan ng credit. Okay lang, sige, gastos ako. Bigyan kita dito, may credit card naman ako. Which is, para sa akin, na-experience ko rin yung ganyan na may mga emergency tayo. Pero darating nga sa point, sabi ko sa inyo mga kamama, magtira kayo para sa sarili nyo. Pag dumating ang point na walang-wala kami, madudukot ka. Mahirap yung point na ma-experience nyo mga kamama, yung point na walang-wala ka na. Tapos wala ka namang malalapitan na. Iyon ang napakasakit na experience na-experience ko honestly. Kaya gusto ko lang din i-share sa inyo na maging maayos o maging madiskarte din kayo when it comes sa paghawak ng pera dahil hindi ganun kadali ang mabuhay din dito sa Canada. Kaya yung iba nakikita nyo naman umaalis na for example na lang din may mga kaibigan tayo na mga nurse dito, yung iba naglipatan na sa US. So syempre sabi nga nila hindi naman porke nandito ka sa Canada is okay na to. So may mga pagkakataon kasi na mayroong mga bansa or ibang lugar na mas maganda yung opportunity nila kaya lumilipat din sila. Pero syempre sa katulad ko na hindi naman tayo talaga nakapag-aral at hindi naman tayo nag-upgrade or something na ganun. So kung ano lang ang meron ditong trabaho, which is maganda naman na pasukan natin, maganda yung benefits. Yun ang hanapin nyo lagi mga kamamo, number 1, yung benefits na makukuha nyo sa trabaho nyo, yun ang i-priority nyo para at least kahit pa paano pag tumanda kayo, may pension or meron din kayong sa insurance nyo, may makukuha pa rin kayo, masasabi nyo, hindi pa rin kayo magugutom pagtanda nyo. So ayun mga kamamo, sana nagustuhan nyo tong vlog. Napakaganda nung napakaganda nung tag dito, parang documentary ng The Parallel. Ganda talaga ng kasi madalas yun ang pinapanood ko sa Facebook pag naka-break time ako. So ngayon, sinare ko lang sa inyo na ganyan niya pala yung mga nangyayari dito sa Canada after like 20 years ago. Parang may mga parang napakaluwag o napakagaan pang mabuhay sa Canada. Tapos ngayon habang tumatagal, habang patagal ng patagal is parang makikita na nila kung paano kahirap mabuhay dito sa Canada. Ano na yung mga pagbabago when it comes to may mga corruption, merong parang nagkamali, mismanage ng paghawak ng mga immigration sa pagpasok ng tao, kaya yung iba walang trabaho, sobrang overpopulated na, kaya ngayon hindi mo alam kung saan mo ilalagay yung mga tao nandito, lalo na yung mga estudyante. Syempre sabi nga nila from Southeast Asia na nagpunta dito, na nagtry mag-aral or magkaroon ng magandang kinabukasan dito sa Canada, is nahihirapan na rin. Yung iba kahit na nakagraduate na dito, yung iba lumilipat na lang ng ibang bansa, nagtatry doon na baka mas maganda ang buhay nila doon. Yung competition ng employment ay napakahirap na ngayon, lalong-lalo na ngayong 2025. So ngayon, ulitin ko sa inyo, sa padating na 2025, etong end of 2025, kailangan parang mag-ano na yung mga 49 million na TFW. Ayun, kailangan na nilang umuwi ng Pilipinas. So, ayan. So, sa mga update na darating dito sa Balitang Canada or Buhay Canada, nandito si Kamama para i-share sa inyo tong mga kaalaman or mga idea na nangyayari dito sa Canada. So, sa mga nakapanood dito, so sa mga gusto mag-comment or yung mga na-experience yung buhay nyo dito, kung 20 years na kayo dito sa Canada, ano ba talaga yung kaibahan or yung malaking pagbabago mula nung dumating kayo until now na 20 years na kayo dito sa Canada? Ano na yung buhay nyo? Mas mahirap ba ang buhay ngayon kaysa nung panahon na bagong dating pa kayo? Mga kamama, please comment down below. Maraming salamat nyo. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates of my videos. See you mga kamama.